All right, and welcome to the UTOPIA All Stars FTC. We are here with our three finalists, Gaston, Nicole, and Grace.
And for
This has
the
been
first time ever, Molly and I are not in the same room. It's
really tragic. I'm really sad about it, even though it's not a big deal.
We're in the same
But
building. Okay, I'm done. I'm done talking. I'm done making it about myself, I promise.
Everybody text Jen that you hope she feels better. But we will start off with our final four immunity winner, Gaston, who has picked the order of the opening speeches. So we will go in alphabetical order: Gaston, Grace, and then Nicole, and then we will open it up to our jury. So Gaston, you can go first. I can do this, right? Yes.
All right. Hey everyone. I just want to first off thank the cast. Like, you guys have been phenomenal. This game has been cracked, chaotic, so fun. I'm happy it's ending, but I'll also miss this game tremendously. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It's been a great ride. This game, I had to approach this game differently than I did U3 for a couple of reasons. In U3, I wasn't working, so I had all the time in the world to do whatever I want, go on calls, figure it out, map everything out. In U6, I did not have that luxury where I had to work night shift, and I booked off a ridiculous amount of days for this game just to give myself a fighting chance to sit here to be able to make my game work. And it really put my game in like perspective, where I had to be a lot more, who I want to call with was a lot more picky and choosy and very specific to what I needed to do. But it was ultimately, it all worked out, just a little bit tougher on my game. I approached this game being more defensive and reactionary, which I did in U3, but I did not feel that as a winner coming into All Stars, I had the luxury of being aggressive and making my move and leading a charge with my alliance. I did not feel like that was an option that would prove to be good for the long haul of the game. So I chose to come in this game, kind of like assess where people were at, what we were doing, and having a very, very early swap as of day 4. I planted my seeds with the people I wanted to work with early on Wells, like people like Spencer, MJ, Jake, Noah, Lily, and I kind of patched up and smoothed over anything from U3 with Aisha and Angelica, and I left that tribe feeling good about pretty much everyone on that tribe. Obviously, by the time the merge hit, a few things that did not go my way in the pre-merge, and I ended up making a pretty big mistake in telling people about my idol that Tati helped me find, which led me to burn my idol. I lost an ally in Eric on that Winter's Crusade at Final 14, and that led me to merge still with no real game plan, but with how that Final 14 round went, I had no option but to play defensive and really play a similar U3 cockroachy game that I did then. So I kind of had the same instinct of, if it's not me, it's good. Is it great? Like, obviously I wasn't about to just land on anyone and whatever happens, but I did have survival mode instinct kicked on immediately come Final 13. Then I knew that if I survived long enough where other people were going to be leading all of the charges, they were going to do everything. They were going to make themselves seem like the bigger strategic forces. I was going to be able to get to a point where if I survived long enough, I wouldn't be a necessary target for Final 7, 6, 5, 4, which I think worked out very well because by the time Final 7 hit, Spencer was a huge threat. Someone like Sam was a huge threat. MJ had many ups and downs in this game where I knew he would be, seen as a big threat to win this game. His journey was phenomenal. And someone like Jake, who was at the bottom for a few rounds in a row, suddenly had all his friends on the jury. So I think I was able to position myself so well where I gave myself a great shot at actually making the end, despite my game not having no flashy moves, nothing crazy. I didn't flip nearly as much as I did, but I definitely had to play a similar game when I made the mistake pre-merge that led me to being in such a bad spot come Final 13. A few things about my game: I never was actually fully blindsided in this game. The 3 votes that did not really go my way was the Lily vote at final 20. Obviously, I wanted her in this game, but Spencer did tell me beforehand that she was leaving, and I spent about 20 minutes trying to convince him to not do it. I don't know how close I was to convincing him. It felt like I was pretty close, but ultimately it didn't work. So that I wasn't blindsided, but it wasn't my preferred vote, obviously. Then the Taylor vote, I stood my ground, and I was willing to stand my ground to get my way, to not give Grace too much power at that point in the game by keeping MJ and Jake in. Obviously, that didn't work out. Sam caved. Really nothing else I could really do about that one. And the Sam vote, I knew Sam had to go before the end if I wanted a shot at winning. Unfortunately, I wanted to keep Sam in for until 5, maybe 4 at the latest, but other people did not have the same ideas. But the fact that I was called out for final 6 and final 5 as being a big threat, and at that point people still not taking me out, is kind of a testament to how I played this game. And I think MJ clocked my game a lot at final 5, and I was nervous that they would take a shot here, but the ladies beside me were loyal to what they said. I know I'm like just over 5 minutes, so I will shut up here. I will gladly answer any questions that you guys have. Honestly, can't wait to see you guys. Good luck, Grace and Nicole, and thank you so much for listening.
All right, and our next finalist is Grace.
Hey y'all, so sorry I'm going to be speaking kind of fast because I have a lot to say, but first off, just want to say thank you to production, good luck to Gaston and Nicole, and congrats on them for making it to the end. In terms of my game, my goal was essentially to correct the mistakes that I had made in U3 in order to set myself up in the best way to make it to the end and win, and I think that I did that. My strategy in these games is always to find someone that I can trust wholeheartedly and kind of work hand in hand with throughout the game. And this time I found that in Nicole. I think I did a much better job this time than I did with Tony because I expanded my social game to make connections with as many people as possible so that even if I did obtain a threat level, I would be insulated enough to make it to the end. There was a lot that I did pre-merge socially that benefited me, such as making connections with Eric and Felix strong enough in only one round for them both to will me their coins after leaving, despite not knowing them in the game before. But I want to focus primarily on my merge game and why I think that that deserves the win. I started the merge being blindsided with Noah leaving. He was one of my closest allies. And at that point, I knew that I needed to do something socially and strategically to keep myself out of the crosshairs and mold the game to how I wanted it to go. This started with the Poison Immunity Challenge, which I think is one of the best examples of my social game. I used my connection with Tati after building it only over one round at the beginning of the game to get her to trust me enough to pick the green poison. And I picked the black poison and subsequently voted her out. Gaston was in her ear telling her it was a bad idea. Nicole was in my ear telling me that Tati would never trust me. But my social game ended up prevailing, and I got Tati to trust me enough to be able to make that move and ensure my safety for the next 2 rounds. This gave me enough time to regain my footing, and I think that's been a very common theme for me in this game. Each time that I was left out of the vote, where one of my allies went home, I was able to use my social and my strategic ability to regain my influence and keep myself from going home. With the Nick vote, this happened again. I was blindsided, but I used my social abilities to build a strong and sudden connection with MJ that allowed him to trust me enough to want to work with me during the Abby vote and blindside 2 of his closest allies, Abby and Jake. From then on, I adapted a little bit and tried to fade back into an alliance where it seemed like I was not the decision maker with Gaston, Nicole, Sam, and Spencer. Despite being seemingly kind of on the outs of that alliance in terms of my connection with Gaston and Gaston and Sam being like a little bit lacking, I was able to convince all of them to vote out Taylor over Jake in the next round to mine and Nicole's benefit. Knowing that Jake staying and Taylor going left me with many more options in the game than it left Gaston and Sam with, which was ultimately my goal, to shift the power of the game back into mine and Nicole's hands. Going forward, when Spencer was blindsided, my connection with MJ was crucial because our social bond made it so that Gaston, Sam, and Jake knew that my name was never on the table. During that final 7 vote, they knew that MJ wouldn't vote for me. It had to be either Nicole or Spencer. Telling MJ about the idols seemed like a little bit of a fumble, but it actually ended up working in my favor because I was able to understand exactly what their plan was when they told Nicole that the vote was going for her. I was able to tell her in the minute before tribal, they're trying to flush your idol, and she didn't play it. And then that secured us the power again in the final 6. From that point forward, my strategy was sort of, after shifting the power from Gaston and Sam to me and Nicole, my strategy was to shift the power from Nicole and I just to the power being in my hands to dictate my perfect endgame. I knew with that vote that Sam going was the best for my game and my game only. Jake did play a part in convincing Nicole to keep MJ around, but MJ's loyalty ultimately lied in me over Jake, and I stand by the fact that that vote was primarily in my best interest, not Jake's, not Nicole's, but it was mine. Nicole knew it wasn't her personal best move to keep MJ another round, but she had built a strong connection with Sam. She didn't trust MJ, but our bond and our friendship and my persuasive ability allowed me to convince her to keep MJ just for one more round, and I was unwilling to budge in that aspect. From the moment that Spencer left, I knew that my personal best shot in the end was to sit with Gaston and Nicole, and I knew that every subsequent move that I made had to go exactly the way I wanted it to for that to happen, especially since I knew that Nicole didn't see it that way. I've been planting seeds to Nicole since the final 8 that Jake was the biggest threat to win the game, and eventually I was able to convince her that that was true, and this made it so I was able to create my perfect final 3 situation, which I have, and they're sitting right here. I played an adaptable game. I played a calculated and overall socially dominant game, and although I have a lot of respect for my other finalists, I think that the way that this game ended up going was ultimately in my best interest over theirs, and I was the driving force to make that happen. I built relationships with everyone who I met in the game. Everyone at some point or another wanted to work with me. Okay.
30 seconds.
I found 2 idols. 10 second. Found 2 idols, one of which I worked on with Nicole, but I ended up being the one to find it. I was adaptable at times and stubborn at others, and that was for the purpose of leading my game in the best direction for me and ensuring my best path to the final 3 and to win. Can't wait to answer y'all's questions, and thank you for listening.
All right, and our final finalist, Nicole.
Hi, thank you, Prod, for hosting us. This has been a really fun game. Thank you, the jury. I've loved playing with you all, and of course, my finalist. Good luck tonight. I obviously played a very different game than the one I played in U4, but this is probably the game that I've been the most proud to play, and that is why I believe it deserves to win. I knew I couldn't play the same way that I had played in U4, and on the surface, it seemed maybe laid back, which I even told people that I had to scale back my gameplay. And it didn't always seem like I was in the driver's seat or pushing alliances, but scaled back isn't really an accurate representation because I was strategic and aggressive in the decisions I made, and I was able to grasp control from behind the scenes and keep the target on other people's backs. There were rounds in this game that were very pivotal to my success that I pushed, controlled, and benefited from. And I grasped the end game by the horns, securing myself here. Although Jake has told me that he admires how effortlessly I maneuver through these games, it was not without effort, strategy, and intuition that I made it here tonight. The beginning of this game for me was really slow. I didn't get a hold of my game, not because I wasn't given the opportunity to. Not because I couldn't, but because I wasn't given the opportunity to, since I had only gone to Tribal Council once until round 13, which placed the utmost importance on building strong and thoughtful relationships. And it's clear one of my most beneficial relationships was with Grace, a loyal and collaborative player who made strong connections with ease. And I identified that and I latched onto that and used that to my advantage, as I knew, given I was a past winner, I wanted to remain out of the spotlight. Early merge, I was protected by my connections from New Wells and OG Takami, reunited with Jake and Nick, who I knew were looking out for me. The willingness I had to go after winners secured me trust quickly and also lessened my perceived threat level while exacerbating the threat on Sam and Gaston. I also got to work building a genuine connection with Spencer, knowing he had a common interest in keeping both me and, well, Grace, by extension, me safe. And I also understood the fluidity of this game. I knew both sides would be losing numbers, so for me, it became critical to protect those I thought would protect me. The round Tati went home, I was able to crack the game open and stop Taylor and Ben from running the merge, which I really think they would have. Since it was only a matter of time before Tati came after me, I do believe I benefited the most from this round and was able to be a very strong influence in this vote. Obviously, losing Nick was not something I predicted, but it proved my adaptability in this game. And MJ was obviously a key player in the Abby round and was able to help us pull off a meta blindside against her. And my connections in Gaston grew very strong that round, and I understood that they needed me as a winner round just as much as I needed them. With Abby leaving, it left Jake looking for more paths in this game, and it was really crucial for me to mend my relationship with him because I needed him as an ally, and I was not willing to let go of him and fought for him come live round. But Taylor's departure was another pivotal round for my game. I needed to keep Sam and Gaston in this game while taking away any potential numbers for them, and I relied on my relationship with Grace and convinced Sam and Gaston to vote out Taylor, and I do think that that move benefited me the most. From there, with an idol in my pocket, thank you, Grace, for helping me. And, I knew FTC was in sight, and leaking my idol to Gaston the round prior, although MJ already knew, the fact that Gaston knew also definitely saved me from playing at the round Dispenser's Blindside, even though there was an attempted flush, and keeping my idol gave me full control the next round. And although Sam said I had half a brain, it was a decision with high risk and high reward. Voting Sam, I was able to take away Gaston's security to getting to the end, and I proved loyalty to Grace and Jake by keeping MJ. The next round, there was only one option for me, and I fought to make sure it was the way I intended. And this clearly illustrated the connection and trust I had built with Grace, influencing her to vote MJ out. Come Final Four, I knew I was guaranteed FTC, as I surrounded myself with people I was closest to and without intention to cut me at 4. Throughout the game, Grace and I protected each other so openly, and it also gave us a good case to bring us to the end. But my relationship with her, Jake, Spencer, they allowed me to position myself to never be the target, but always remain in control. I entered the game with a target on my back, and I made it here. But that's not why I think I deserve to win this game. I deserve to win because I maneuvered with control and finesse in a completely different style than in U4, proving my versatility and adaptability, which I think is what makes an all-star. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, finalists. We are just waiting on our first juror, and we will kick off the question of the evening.
As a reminder, each juror has 8 minutes, and they are allowed to do with it as they see fit. We're going to be strict this season since we have a whopping 10 jurors. So when we're getting to 8 minutes, we really are going to start cutting people off. And speak of the devil, our first juror is here.
Hello, finalists. It is Gaston. It's good to see you. Nicole and Grace, I'm thrilled to see you. I do want to jump into things and let you know that this jury is very divided, very angry, very bitter. One of the only things that we could all agree on is that all 3 of you had piss poor jury management. So you have a lot of sins to attest to tonight. But as the mayor of Ponderosa, I've done my due diligence and been taking notes on your game. So just quickly, I would like to pull out your file, talk about the reputation you had coming into this game, and see if it stuck or not. So Gaston, you definitely had you definitely had the reputation of being one of the most dominant strategic players that Utopia has ever seen. You made really strong connections and were a dominant force in this game. And it's something that's been very admirable, but unfortunately, oh no, what's this? Oh no, that reputation has completely gone up in flames. All we've been left with is a slimy cockroach who has wiggled his way round and round and feeding off of the trash that others left behind. Nicole, let's see what yours is. Oh, okay. Yeah, you were definitely the most dominant social player that this game has ever seen. You made incredible relationships and were just universally loved. And that's really ultimately the reason that you won your U4 game. But then, oh no, your reputation also went up into flames. All we've been left with is one of the most boring people that a jury has ever had the displeasure of watching. And then finally, Grace, you came into this game with the reputation of being a villain, somebody who was very emotional and maybe let their emotions get the best of them. And oh yeah, it looks like that reputation has upheld itself. So with that said, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a warning of how these jurors have perceived your games. I do have one quick question for each of you. Gaston, in one word, yes or no, did you need to win that Final Four immunity challenge to be sitting here right now?
No.
Okay, thank you. Nicole, in 50 words or less, how did you see me fitting into your game? I never understood where I sat with you. So let's pretend that Gaston goes at the merge and I'm still in the game. How do you plan on using me?
To be honest, I didn't see you fitting in my game, if I'm going to be honest with you, because I think we were just on the different paths.
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, I always knew that. So you were definitely very savvy in hiding that from me. And then Grace, I know that in your opening speech, you wanted to focus on your merge game, but just for all of you to be aware, every single piece of your game is being under the microscope tonight. So Grace, the thing I'm most curious about is the final 16 round where Farboda gets voted out. My question to you is, did you always intend on wanting Farboda to go, or were you genuinely torn between keeping Spencer or getting rid of him?
I always wanted Farboda to go for my individual game, but I wasn't willing to put mine and your relationship at stake for that to happen. So I did settle on Spencer going for a while until we were both able to come to the conclusion that Farboda going was best for both of us.
Okay. I expected to go a lot longer than this. But yes, you are going to have a very angry jury tonight, but just know that I don't think any of us are planning on holding grudges after the game. You're all lovely humans, but your game was a piece of shit. So have fun.
You're muted, Molly.
Molly, you're muted.
I'm killing it tonight, you guys. All right, we are waiting for our next juror, and we sit here awkwardly while we wait.
Don't be shy, Molly. Sing a song. Give the people what they want.
Oh my God, are people here for me tonight? And
the next player is here.
Our next juror, Tati, is here.
Okay, I just start. Okay, so hello everyone. Congratulations. Love you all. I changing my question a little bit, but I guess my question for each of you is just if you had to, I know like Gaston said maybe not one specific move, but I'm asking all of you if you had to pick like one move that you think is like the all-star move / like can you reiterate a little bit more why do you feel like you played like an all-star game overall, if that makes sense? I can start with Gaston.
I was like, do we alphabetical? Okay, so my game did not have one like power move that I did, and I didn't feel like I was in a position at Final 13 was starting so low with how 14 went. I didn't feel like I had the room or the agency to be able to make that one big move, and it was an uphill battle to start this merge. But I think I was able. Why my game is like an all-stars worthy game is that I was able to get at Final 14. I went to Grace and Nick, who I had advocated against them in the pre-merge to many people, and saying like I think that they want me dead on sight. I think that they want me out of this game. I'm scared of them, and I think I probably told you this. I told many people on my swap tribes. So at 14, in that 5-hour window that we had, I called with Grace for about half an hour. I called Nick for about like 20 minutes. We talked, we hashed it out. I left those conversations saying, here, like, we're not leaving as allies. We're not leaving. I don't expect you to like go to bat for me for this round when Eric was being targeted. But I left the door open just enough where I knew that we, like Grace and I, were able to have more more strategic talks where we were able to work together. And I think it's a bunch of planting on those little seeds where, like in Nick's case, it didn't work out. Where I opened the door, it wasn't taken, that's fine. But with how the original tribes went, I was able to plant all my seeds there. And as the swaps went along, I was able to put a bunch of faith in people and have those strategic conversations that I think really resonated. When I needed some help, I was able to reason with some people about how my game helped their game and how our games could mesh together. Here's scenario A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I went through a whole bunch of like what ifs. And I think that resonated well, where I was able to get in a lot of strategic happenings with people where they wanted me around for some way, shape, or form. And I think that ultimately led me to get to a point where I didn't need Final Four immunity. I had Grace, who voted for me twice in this game, and Nicole, who voted for me 3 times in this game, to both want me at the end of this game. That's not by chance. That's by me planting those seeds, working those relationships very well, and making it work.
Okay, and then next I'll go to Grace, which I should have gave you a disclaimer about going to the end with Nicole. Scary. But go ahead, Grace. You're muted. I can't hear you.
Sorry. Am I good now?
You're good.
Okay, my personal best move was, I think, the vote that Sam ended up going home, because my prerogative from the final 7 forward after Spencer left was securing myself to the end, but also to distinguish myself and Nicole so that the end game would go exactly how I wanted it to go, and not to be perceived as being brought to the end by her or dragged to the end in any sense. And I think that me voting Sam out did exactly that by going against something that Nicole was very adamant to not want MJ to stay in the game. She didn't have any trust with him. It weakened Gaston to vote Sam out. It also weakened Nicole because she had a relationship with Sam, and it also ensured me to make the end, in the sense that if Gaston and Sam had both made the final 5, things may have gone very differently. I think that move really highlighted my persuasive ability and my ability to build that social connection with both Nicole and Jake, for them to both agree that it was okay, that it wasn't, in Nicole's best interest for that to happen. She still was willing to do it for me because of our friendship, our bond, our alliance. The reason I think I played an all-star game is because my social game, although people are probably very upset with me because of it, because of how they left, I made it very clear that I was open to working with literally anybody in this game at any time. And I think that's why people may end up being upset with me in the end, because, I didn't end up taking that shot with all of them, but I wanted the avenue for everyone to be open in case it did turn out to be in my best interest. I made connections with people from the merge on, kind of like Gaston said, like we had been, people that were assumed going to be against each other, but then we found a way to work together eventually. MJ was somebody that had gone to Abby on Exile and had talked about how I was such a great player, how he bet I had the idol, how I was a big threat, and somehow MJ being, at the bottom of my list coming to the merge, I was still willing to work with him and made it so he ended up being one of the most crucial parts of my game. So I built a lot of connections with people that people wouldn't have expected me to. And I think that insulated me well and gave me the ability to make it to the end and put other people to be targets before me, because people weren't willing to vote me out very many times.
That's giving me deja vu for my game. But okay, continue. Go ahead, Nicole.
Hi, Tati. You know what? It's funny because I put for my best move I was writing, and Sam probably wouldn't agree, but I think not playing my idol that round was a very good move for me, because it put full control in that Sam round into my hands. Although it might have been arguably in a great move for Grace to stay. I mean, Grace to have MJ stay. I think it had a lot of benefits for me. I was able to take away Gaston's agency, because I did, at the end of the day, have full control in that vote, given the way that the immunities were lined up. I was able to take away Gaston's agency while also making it seem like Grace had the control of that vote and persuaded me to do it, which ultimately continued the trend that I was going to be making FTC no matter what. So I think that was a very important move for me. I think that if MJ hadn't gone home, I would be saying I would not be saying that right now. I definitely think it was a high risk, but it definitely paid off. Overall, I think I had a lot of control, especially in the later merge. And I think that I shaped the end game the way that I wanted it to. I think I played an all-star game because I was able to come in here with a threat like Gaston had, like Sam had, like Eric and Felix had, but remain in control during the important parts of the game and make moves that were my own, including the Taylor vote, and as well as I think I did have a good, strong hand in sending you home, Tati, because I knew that you didn't want to stay with me at the end, and I understood why.
Totally. I was like, this is cool. I also have a follow-up question for Grace. Can you kind of elaborate why this was your ideal final 3, like the 2 big threats and winners? If I have time, I think I do.
Yeah, the winner rhetoric for me was something that I kind of capitalized on to use to my advantage in certain aspects of the game. I really kind of spun that narrative to help me at points where it did. But then deep in my mind, the whole time I knew that the winners weren't people that I was necessarily intimidated by. And yes, they played incredible games in their original seasons, and they did this time as well. But there were other people who played much better games this season that I knew were going to be bigger threats in the end. I knew that this was my final 3, literally in the final, I guess, probably in the final 8, but mostly like right after Spencer went home, I knew that this was my best shot. I knew that Sam had an incredible chance of winning. Her and Gaston played similar games, but she played it better. And Jake and MJ played better games than all fucking 3 of us. So I knew that these people were the people that I had to sit with, as well as the fact that taking Nicole to the end was something that would ensure me getting there in the first place. So yeah, that's why this was my ideal final 3. And I was the one to kind of make that happen. Nicole even said, like, Gaston had asked her at some point after Jake went home, would you have actually wanted me in the final 3? If Jake had, like, if one of you or Grace had won immunity. And Nicole said she didn't know, but I knew the whole time. So this is something that I wanted, I made happen, and not everyone was sure that they had wanted.
Okay, well, thank you very much, all. I think I'm like so on point with my time right now, but thank you. Good luck.
I'm gonna refill on my quick on the run.
Okay, and now we sit here again. Wait. Everybody looks so nice tonight.
And guys, don't worry if you hit your 8 minutes. I'll hop on here with my crusty ass COVID voice and let you know. So don't you worry. Oh, perfect timing.
Am I on? Am I live? Well, hello to the final 3. All I have to say is meh. And I only say that because Grace and Nicole, you two are obviously probably my top 2 favorite people to play with. So I would say meh because I wish we got to play more together. But I am so happy that you're both here. Gaston, trying to take you out 2 times in this game and once in another, and failing all 3 and by 1 vote both times this game, it definitely pissed me off. But hats off to you, I guess. So I do have 2 questions. My first question, I'm gonna let you guys think about it, and then we'll go back to it after. I am a big Housewives fan, so I just want a tagline from each of you that kind of sums up your game in like a funny and housewife tagline-y way. So I'll let you guys think about that, but I will continue with my questions because I have more. Who do I want to start with? Grace, how are you, dear? You look wonderful. I just want to say, girl, good luck. I think after me, people are going to come in swinging at you, specifically Grace. So I want you to just explain your game, and you're going to do great. And I'm so happy you're here. My question for you is, what is one talking point your fellow finalists have made that you feel are milking / taking too much credit for?
I think I kind of touched on this in Tati's last question. When I had to think a little bit more about Gaston, but for Nicole, it was kind of just like taking more credit for the move of Sam going home than I think she should, because during that vote, the entire time she was trying to convince me to vote MJ out, and I was adamantly trying to convince her otherwise, along with Jake doing some of that as well. I think that it probably would have been in her best interest to keep Sam over MJ, because I clearly had a stronger connection with MJ. I knew that he was somebody who wouldn't vote me out, whereas she never trusted him. And I think that that move was not in her best interest, but it was rather in mine. So I think that that's something that I would rather take credit for. As for Gaston, I think that in terms of, I mean, this may have been intentional on his part. The fact that he thought that he was able to like slide his way to the end by positioning himself intentionally, I think that that is not necessarily true, because Gaston is somebody that Nicole and I had decided rounds and rounds ago that we wanted to go to the end because we thought we could beat. That is not due to anything that he had done specifically. It was just because we saw that the other people left were much bigger threats than him. So that was more of us deciding to bring him rather than him bringing himself. And that's probably why he said that he didn't need to win that final immunity, because we were going to bring him anyway. Jake was a bigger threat. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Grace. All right, Gaston, same question. Let's hear it.
Wow. Ooh.
And Nicole, it will be the same for you.
I think, okay, well, honestly, with Grace, I think them getting their way at Final 8 with Taylor leaving, I think, I think she puts a lot of weight on, like, I did this, I convinced Sam and Gaston to do it. Sam was convinced to jump ship. I was not convinced. I was holding my ground. I was there till the bitter end. And when Sam came, I was like, yeah, no, let's just do it. And Spencer was already like half and half. I had no choice but to concede. And I think she's like putting herself as like she convinced me and Sam to do it against our better judgment. I knew it was not against my better judgment. And I think Nicole also touched on that too. I don't think as much. I think so I won't put that for both, but I do think Grace definitely like is milking the fact that she like duped me at 8 to make a move against my better will. I think she did it well. I think she convinced Sam to concede, but she's not convinced me to concede. And I told her this at Final 8. I told her, I'm like, this is why I don't think that this is a good move. And I told her straight up, you have MJ, you have Jake. If Jake stays, and here's why it's she was crying over having no agency when I knew she had plenty, and that's what pissed me off. And whatever. That's a story for a different day. But with Nicole, I do think I'm gonna have to agree with Grace here. I think that at Final 6, she had full control of Sam staying, and I think it would have been in her best interest because I had expressed to Nicole straight up that I would have taken Sam out of 5 if MJ left at 6. And she had the opportunity to put herself in the position where if she wanted to make something different happen at 5, she could have, but she let Grace have control at 5.
Okay. Thank you, Gaston. And congrats on being here, despite me wanting you out 2 times. All right. And last up, and certainly least in my eyes, it's the one and only Nicole. How are you?
I'm okay. Okay, so I guess I kind of have to agree with the Taylor round for Grace. I think that I was not willing to like see a winner go. For me, I really needed Taylor out that round, and I think that that wasn't necessarily the best move. And I don't necessarily know if I do agree compared to Jake, it was a better move, but I don't know. What was the question again? Sorry, just so I can like phrase the answer in the question.
What is one talking point your fellow finalists have made that you feel are milking / taking too much credit for?
Yeah, I think that like maybe it's not necessarily milking or taking too much credit, because I do think that they had a lot of control, or at least a lot of like power in that specific play. I don't necessarily think was the right one, in some extent. Awesome. And then I guess for Gaston, oh my gosh. I guess like one is like the cockroach of like being able to take a step back and planting seeds. I don't know necessarily if like milking that is necessarily good, because I think that's a reason why we're in this final 3.
All right. And now for my favorite part, I want to hear all of your housewives tagline. And if they're bad, no matter how much I love you, you're not getting my vote. Okay? So I want to start with you, Gaston. Let's hear it. Let's hear what you got.
Okay, let me see. Let me just preface that I have not watched many Housewives.
It's okay. It's okay. It's just a bit about your game. Yeah.
Cockroach, maybe. But do we like him? Also, maybe.
Okay. I like it. All right. Let's go with you, Nicole. I hope you were thinking.
I was kind of, but boring, fine, but guaranteed final tribal council. All right.
Yes. Love it. And Grace, let's hear it. Oh, you're on mute, sweetie. Come on. Let's hear you.
I keep doing that. Okay. I haven't watched Housewives either. It's gonna be a little camp, a little bit arrogant in a sense, but I think that's in the Housewives' nature. Maybe something along the lines of I said I was the fan favorite, but I didn't say I was the jury's favorite.
Okay. I like that one. All right. I'm very impressed with all three of your answers, and best of luck for the rest of the night. And I can't wait to reunite with you girls. I guess on first. Bye.
Alrighty, we are waiting for our next year, Abby.
Making our way through these pretty fast, if I do say so myself. No one has gone over the time limit yet. Let's just say I am extremely impressed.
I'm very impressed. Nobody ever does that. We are always cutting people off.
Always. And we enjoy it. So
We do.
taking away our fun a little bit, I guess. This is like Molly and I are like talk show hosts, and we like have like fun banter while we like wait for the next juror. That's
But
literally
it's
what this
only
is.
fun for me and Jen. Nobody else enjoys the show.
That's fine. They don't need to enjoy it if I'm having a good time.
This is our show. We run it.
It's true. That's like very accurate. It's exactly what we do.
And we love you guys for it.
As you should. Where is Abby?
I don't know. I am having flashbacks to U1 when Abby's internet didn't
No, I can't do that.
so patiently waits. Oh, all right.
Oh my god, praise it goes better than you want.
Sorry, it wouldn't let me enter my name.
I could hear you before, but then all of a sudden it cut out.
Same. You're muted for some reason of some sort. I don't know. We can see you, but you can't hear you.
Abby, maybe try leaving and rejoining. Because they could hear her when she walked in, when she strutted in, and then it went away. So sad. This is really fun for me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Is it working now?
Yep.
Okay, great. I was like, it's
It deadass just cut out.
It cut out again.
It literally like you were mid talking and you could hear like the what?
Oh no.
Or nor.
Or nor. Well, trying to think of something to pass the time with. But I don't have too much going on right now. I spent the last 3 days in bed. So I don't
Sister.
I don't know. Molly, tell them about the makeup you did yesterday.
Oh my god, I did. Okay, no, Abby's back.
Let's see if
Can you hear me?
yes. Keep
Okay,
talking.
I don't know why it like isn't working sometimes. It just like stops randomly. Did it stop again?
No, we're good.
Oh, okay, great. Oh my god. I was like, oh my god. Okay. Anyway, technology hates me. Hello everyone. Congratulations. I want to ask you all if you could go back and change one thing about your game. What would it be? Let's start with Gaston.
Oh, girls, I fucked up hard when I told anyone about my idol. I think that was a huge mistake, a huge miscalculation that led me to having to fucking scrape from the bottom at merge. Like if I hadn't told Tati, because she gave me correct info right before we swapped for the second time, and I could have just been like, oh, it's gone already. Oh, that fucking sucks. Like I could have just pinned it on Sam or pinned it on Casey, like whoever else. And at that point, if I did tell Tati, I would not have told Eric and Taylor either. And that would have led me to go into merge. Eric could likely still be in 14th place, and I could have had an idol all to myself going through merge. And that would have been not necessary because I'm still here, but also very nice. And I could have made a much bigger move and a much bigger statement if I had it.
Okay. Then Grace, we'll go to you.
I would say that the biggest thing I would change about my game was probably about in terms of like jury management, I wish that I had been more honest with people right before they were about to go home. In some votes, like the vote where you went home, it was like entirely necessary for me to have to lie to everybody because of the steal a vote. You know, it was necessary that our plan had to be air fucking tight. But there were other times where I definitely could have given people a heads up and been more honest with them instead of just like letting my anxieties get the best of me and just trying to not become paranoid and not telling them what we were going to do. So I think that I would change that aspect a little bit. Yeah, I think that my social connections were important to my game, but I could have definitely done them better in terms of people who I knew might not be staying as long as they thought they were going to be, or that I thought they were going to be. So.
All right, and Nicole.
I'm very happy with the game that I played. I think if I could change one thing, I think I would have tried to have a better relationship and connection with Ben. Ben is obviously an amazing player, and I think they're very loyal as well. And I think it would have been nice to see what kind of past would have existed if we were closer allies.
Okay. And then I wanted to ask you all another question that's like more fun, which is like, what was the most fun thing that you felt like you did in this game? Same order.
Fun thing that I've done. Oh God. Well, okay, here's the thing. I'm not sure if I classify this as fun, but it would have to be a tie between the Cheetah Girls videos and the Imagine singing video. Like, I cannot, like, Nicole, you were there, girl, you fucking know how bad it was. But like that Imagine singing was absolutely atrocious. Like, that was like probably like the funnest time, that like 3-hour call where like our tribe was on call doing all of like the group stuff for the scavenger hunt. That was honestly one of the funnest moments of this whole game. Just bonding. We were like so hyped about winning. Let's get us all done, and we had a lot of fun like along the way, and it was a good way to start that tribe off. So that's my favorite moment.
Mine's on a similar wavelength. I think the scavenger hunt brought like a lot of fun, and our Cheetah Girls video was also really fucking funny because the audio didn't work the first 2 times that we did it, or the first time we did it, Ben Farbota's phone fell over, so we had to repeat it. That was really fun. Also, the Euphoria play that we did was fucking hilarious, and I think just like being on New Takami was probably the most fun that I had with like the Noah Scream thing. We just had a lot of moments where we would all be on the tribe call, like not even worried about what was going to happen, but just like laughing together and just like being crazy. So I think that was the most fun part of my game.
Okay, like game wise, I think Grace being really drunk on the like everyone in the cast call was like giving me anxiety, but also like life. I also really, I think I really enjoyed our vampire bitches call, like honestly, and also drunk calling Abby and her roommates. But yeah, like no, honestly, I've had a lot of fun. The first half of this fucking game was like I was not happy. I was really sad, and then scavenger hunt, and then meeting like merge was just really, it was really amazing and fun.
Nice. I love that. Love all those answers. And yeah, my vote's still undecided. And I look forward to hearing all of your answers for everyone else's questions that I'm sure will be better than mine. But good luck to you all.
Bye.
We're back. The makeup I did yesterday was really, really fun. I put like all these little gems on my face. I don't know what to talk about here.
You haven't watched Everything Everywhere All at Once. Molly will make you watch it.
Everyone go see it. That is like, I did it to most of the cast. Most of the cast has seen it now. Thank God.
It was a very good movie. It was 10 out of 10 worth.
So good. Okay, Ben's here. Okay, our next juror, Beb.
Hi everyone. Coming at you is one of the sloth sins, as Noah said. You got a lot of sins that you have to atone for tonight, so sloth coming at you. In classic sloth style, though, I have not prepared any questions, but that's also just me. I leave everything to the last minute. What a surprise. I just want to say everybody here has played an incredible game to get to the end. I compare it to, and this isn't a read, I promise it's not, and I'll give my reasoning for it. but to heroes versus villains, in the sense that we have 2 winners and a Russell Hance. However, the Russell Hance has a good shot at winning. Like, it's a really, really good group of people. And so I just want to say, 1, congratulations. You guys have all done amazingly. 2, my main game question that I have touches on jury management, as people have kind of brought up and you guys have spoken about tonight. In terms of jury management, how do you guys each individually think you did with jury management? How do you think you went when you were sending people out the door, or when people were, when you were being blindsided by somebody else going? How did you view that, and how did you recover when either A, you felt like your jury management was bad, or B, when you were blindsided? That's kind of my main one, and then I'll have a fun little one afterwards. But we'll go reverse alphabetical order. So Nicole Babes, that will be you first.
The jury management this time around was definitely I'm the type of person is I like to tell people that they're going, and Ben, I think you were the only person I didn't tell, and it was live night. I mean, unless it was it was a necessary blindside, with Abby. It was live night. I remember asking, "Are you guys going to tell Ben?" And everyone said no, and I should have just told you anyways, because there was no point in me lying to you. I knew where 2 of the idols were, and I do really regret that. I think overall I tried my best to play honestly with respect to the way that I thought the votes were best for me and how I was going to be voting. So I think, and you guys probably disagree, but I think I did okay on jury management. With respect to blindsides happening, I mean, there's always gonna be a little bit of shock, but I do think that I tried to understand where the other party was coming from, who pulled it off. If that is that the question you're asking? Yeah.
Completely candidly, I think my jury management was kind of shit. And I will admit that. That's something for me that didn't really cross my mind very much throughout the game, which was kind of an oversight on my part, but I've never made it to the end of one of these games. I was just really, really concentrated on beating my placement, making it to the end, making sure I could win. And through all of those things, jury management was just something that honestly kind of slipped my mind as a huge factor, which I know is a very big oversight on my part. I totally understand that, but I just want to be honest and admit that I did not do a good job in that. For me personally, I'm somebody who's just very into the game, almost kind of in a game body way, in the way I watch Survivor. If I were to be blindsided, that's just something that I would be nice, and I wouldn't really be mad. And I know that people totally have reasons for being upset, and I've definitely been upset when I've been blindsided before, but that's just something that I don't really normally think about that much. And I think that was definitely one of the biggest weaknesses of my game. The vote where you went home, especially the live night, obviously we didn't have much time. I could have just been honest with you, like Nicole said. I think that a lot of my unwillingness to tell people that they were going home came from the fact that, yes, like Nicole said, we knew where both of the idols were, but for a while, Nicole didn't know that I had my idol. So I didn't want to expose to people that I knew where both of the idols were. I kind of had to play up, oh, MJ might have an idol. I don't want to be too obvious about things, because I didn't want people to know that I knew where the idols were, that I had one, that Nicole had one, whatever. So I think that that's something I focused too heavily on in trying to convince, not tell people that they were going home or give any indication, because I was trying to kind of keep up the facade that I was also worried about idols. And that's something that probably was the biggest weakness of my game, was kind of, it's in my instinct to kind of be villainous and just put myself first. And I know that that rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but I hope that y'all can see the value in my game regardless of that, and see that my inexperience in orgs, not that that's an excuse, but just that it's obviously something that wouldn't be first in my mind, since I've never been to the end of the game before. I've always been a very early merge boot, so never really had to think about that at all till now.
I felt that my jury management was okay. I don't think it was terrible. I think there were moments where, I had to be more worried about where idols were and what I was telling people, which, I was when Noah left, I got 6 votes. When Nick left, I got 7 votes. when you left, Ben, my name was on the table for like a hot second. Like I didn't have the luxury of going around and telling you like, yes, you are getting blindsided or you're getting voted out, because I had genuine worries about where both idols were. We thought MJ had both. Like I thought that was an actual possibility. I truthfully thought MJ had one and Grace had one, but it was still like I didn't know what moves people were willing to make or where they were truthfully, where I had to play for myself. And I was a target the whole like first half of that merge. I was a target like more often than not, where I didn't have the luxury of focusing on jury management because I had to save myself and make sure I was here to have even any shot at winning. If I told the wrong person the wrong thing and idol was played, I was going to be out. So I did. I'm saying my jury management is okay with the circumstances. I know it was probably shit because a lot of people left with bitter feelings, and I fully get it. It was a survival mode instinct kind of thing. You know, some people like Taylor, I did tell Taylor, like, I fought for Taylor hard that whole round, and that whole call that we had right before Tribal, I fought hard for him to stay. I didn't want to throw Sam under the bus, like, yeah, Sandcake, you're leaving, sorry. But I told him, I'm like, there's really nothing I could have done, and truthfully, there is nothing I could have done to save Taylor. Like, I held my ground, and even like everyone else leaving, it was a blindside that needed to happen, or it was actual genuine idol paranoia where I just had to lie. That's just the way it is. And as of blindsides, I didn't get blindsided a whole lot. Like I didn't get actually fully blindsided where like someone left out of left field. I always knew what the options were. A couple of times the options was someone that I didn't prefer, like Taylor, like Sam, and Lily were the three. Like everyone else, I got my way. So I didn't have to really deal with being fully blindsided, to be completely honest.
Cool, brilliant. Just want to say y'all are killing it. My vote is still up in the air, and I'm just really enjoying listening to you all. My final question is from the pre-jury, who do you wish that you had more time to play with in the game? Because I think we all do kind of miss a lot of the pre-jury members. So we'll go in alphabetical order this time, starting with Gaston, of who you wish you could have played with longer.
Oh my god, my queen Lily Welch! Oh, I love her so much. She's like such a fantastic person. I'm like tearing up. I felt really bad when she left because she had so much more game left in her, and we were Dora the Explorer in boots, and it was like the cutest thing ever. And I miss her so much. I can't wait for this to be over so I can talk to her again.
This might be an opinion that people won't like very much, but I think it kind of aligns with the character that I present. And I'm not going to lie, I really wish Felix had made it farther. Felix was my #1 ally on the original tribe, and I had so much fun with Felix right off the bat, which I didn't expect because he was somebody that I was entirely scared of coming into this game. But we just developed an amazing relationship where we had called, like 3-4 times a day, like every day on that first tribe, just like updating each other on everything that would happen. And we just built a really, really solid relationship. And I wish that Felix had stayed longer so we could have created, a little chaos together. I know that people probably wouldn't have been very excited about that, but that's just something for me personally that I think would have been really fun.
I'm going to say Farboda. Me and Farboda didn't see eye to eye last game and at the beginning of this game, and I think on New Wells I was really, really excited to play with them because I felt like we had turned a new page. Shitty that we didn't get to see each other in merge, but I think in another game I would really, really like to play with them.
Awesome. That is everything for me then. Good luck, guys. Kill it for the rest of the night, and can't wait to drink with you all once we finish this game. So, bye.
I feel like everybody dreads this pop up. I'm like, fuck.
Yes, but we're now officially halfway through our jury questioning. 5 jurors in, 5 to go.
Nobody going over their time limit. We love to see it.
Well, Ben went a little over their time limit, but I didn't realize it until after they left, and I looked down at my stopwatch. So
incredible.
I have an excuse. I have a disease. A virus.
You are
not a disease. Oh my god.
I have a virus.
Not the discarded snakes.
Hi, friends. Oh, can I hear y'all? Can y'all hear me? Why can't I hear y'all?
Can you
They're-
hear
you are
me?
good
I
to
mean,
go. They're not talking. They're nodding and smiling.
Okay, so I lost my glasses paddleboarding this weekend, so I can't see anything you're doing, like your facial expressions, your smiles, your frowns. I hope there are lots of frowns. So just apologies. If I tell you to shut the fuck up, like please shut the fuck up immediately. Do I get to start asking questions? Like, do I get to just go?
All you. Go for it.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Okay, so Grace, you have been kicking ass tonight. So if I don't give you a lot of time, like just know it's because you're absolutely killing it, and I'm really rooting for the other two right now, and so I want to give them time to kind of give me great answers. Nicole, I want to start with you. So when you were on the wrong side of the vote, those times that it did happen, how did you approach your conversations with people moving into the next round? And do you think that was the right approach?
I guess one was when Nick got blindsided. It was the most obnoxious I've ever been, probably on still on Tribal Call. I think that now that like I was thinking about it after Ben asked me, I was like, oh, I was definitely obnoxious. I mean, it was a tough one because Abby, we didn't know that Abby had flipped, so it was very confusing. How did I approach my conversations? That's tough. I think I feel like I play very much like I'm very like open with the way that I play, and I think that I was able to like bounce back and talk to the people who like did this blind side to understand where they were coming from. Like I think the Nick blind side, for example, I understood exactly where Jake was coming from. I understood where a lot of the people who voted Nick, where they were coming from, and I still had relationships that I was able to use, and able to like mend. For example, like Jake is a big one that I was able to mend going forward. Same with the Noah one was also difficult because it was like so early, like relationships were still forming. But I do think that like in that Nick blind side, I was able to really form solid relationships specifically with Jake after that one.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. In my experience with I would say your social game was almost flawless. The only place where I was like rubbed the wrong way by you was after the Noah vote happened. I kind of felt like you went and you told people like, oh, this was like a stupid move for you. And I was like, just surprised by it because like, other than that, like your social game was like straight up a 10 out of 10. I think you displayed a lot of loyalty. I think you and Grace played really closely together. I'm curious to know about like, I think from a jury's perception, there was this idea that like you were kind of not in the driver's seat. And then in the last 4 rounds, you were like very much in the driver's seat. So I guess what I'm curious to know is like, how did you pull the steering wheel away from Grace?
Mm-hmm.
And like, how did you stop her from trying to take it back?
That's a good question. Also, yeah, sorry, addressing that, you're totally right. I did say that. And that's also like a flaw to my game is I feel like I'm very honest and open. And honestly, I don't know if I was right in saying that. And I apologize for making you feel like you did something that was like for saying that. I just was shitty. But
no, fuck apologies.
I think that I was really setting myself up with you leaving. You were very honestly, you leaving was really good for my game. And so was Tati. I think Tati leaving, like that really allowed me to have more control because I think she was like a very much like an opposing force. Maybe not at the time, but would be. And I think that you leaving really took away the agency from like the non-winners. I think it allowed Sam, Gaston, and I to have more control. Also considering Spencer was kind of like on that side of the game. I think keeping Sam and Gaston were extremely crucial for my game. Although I did like continually, you know, target Gaston. It was a way for me to lessen my threat, like and kind of like let Grace take the reins. Like let's like make me look like I'm not doing that much. I'm just like kind of cruising. But then it allowed me to, you know, reunite with Sam and Gaston and be able to actually have control and agency with the way that the game went. Also, keeping Jake he was a very close ally to me. I think he was also a close ally to Grace, but I do think that me and him were very aligned with some of the way that we wanted the game to go. So
okay,
I think,
killing it. I'm going to switch over to Gaston because I want to make sure that I give my love some time. Gaston, I came into this night like much more angry with you. And this shirt 1000% was chosen for you and you alone. But you're forgiven. What I want you to do is talk about your flexibility in this game. I feel like from my perspective, you did one of the best jobs when it came to being on the right side of the vote every single time. And you always had a sense of like where the possible options were falling. So I guess talk about like how you approached the game, how you kept your relationships open. And then I think that there is like some concern in the jury that like in some of the moves where you stayed safe, you didn't do the majority of the lifting, that maybe Ben and I did more of the lifting. So if you want to continue to massage our egos, like that would be a wonderful thing for you to do.
Okay. Oh, I miss you. I'm so sorry. I'm laughing at your shirt. That's kind of like really funny. No, but I think with starting the merge on such a bad foot, with the idol coming out, idol being like out of the game, I had no real option to be aggressive and push my own moves. I had to be, okay, how do I survive? How do I stay in this game? I need to build some allies and have some allies who want to trust me and want to be in this game. I definitely worked on building a relationship with you, which I already have with like you and Eric from the New Wells. I was good with Ben. I knew you were good with Ben. So the Lily Stan account came to fruition, not in that specific like at that point. Love Lily, but it definitely, you know, I used ways like the Lily Stan account to make some good allies in that way where we had space to go if we wanted to have those strategic conversations. And the way I approached many of those conversations was how do either of like moves A, B, or C benefit both of us moving forward? Let's run through like scenario A. If Abby leaves, if Spencer leaves, if Grace leaves, like I would run through different hypotheticals with a lot of people to try to see what made sense. And I think that's really what was able to get to garner me some trust with a lot of different people in this game. And that's why I was able to always be in the know and be in the majority, where people knew I was willing to talk through many options, where they were willing to talk to me because they knew I would make the logical decision. I got told by many people in this game that I was like, they could rely on me making the right strategic decision, the right logical decision, and I would not let emotions cloud my judgment, or at least not as much. And I think that rings true in building good allies and having people willing to talk to me about actual genuine plans that they were considering. And that's why I think I wasn't blindsided, and that's why I was in the majority a lot more than not.
Just jumping in, Taylor, to let you know your time is about up, so I'll give you another like 30 seconds to wrap it up.
That was the end of my sentence.
Okay. Grace, I just want to say that like coming in tonight, I had said that like it was going to be really hard for me to vote for you. But I just want to say that you really have been knocking out your questions. Like they're just home runs left and right. So keep up the like absolute phenomenal articulation of your game. And like this final three is so competitive. I literally have no fucking clue where my vote is going tonight. And I am so excited to see where it lands.
Thank you, Taylor. And I hope you accept me in Austin when I move there in July. Run me over with the truck.
I won't even consider buying one. Like I need to save the money for my student loan. So y'all are all safe to come visit whenever.
We actually have the next jury here. Woo! You guys don't have to listen to us talk. Okay, Spencer, your time starts now.
What is up? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I thought it was appropriate that I brought the headset out. I wasn't going to deal with the AirPod fucking robot voice this time. First of all, kind of echoing what Taylor said, like I think this is a super competitive final three. This is the first time I've come into a final three really feasibly being able to see myself voting for all three of the finalists, which is a testament to the fact that all of you guys did some really good things, but also the fact that I think all three of you made some mistakes, which all of us did in the game. That's how it works. But just making it to this point in the game in an all-star season, really impressive. So congratulations for that. Gaston, I'm going to start with you. Obviously, I think you're a great guy, a great player. I agree with you when you say that you were dealt a hand where sometimes you weren't able to be like, this is what we need to do. I need to push the action here. But in an all-stars game, it's a little bit hard for me to vote. If this was U3, you have my vote. All-stars game, it's a little harder for me to vote for a defensive game. So I just want you to give me an example of a time where you actively were like, this needs to happen for me, and you made it happen.
I think a good example, this is a little bit fresh. I think at Final Four, I went on call with Nicole when Jake was on call with Grace, and she was like, generally, like, what do you want to do? And I think there was still some doubt in Nicole's mind where she wasn't fully sure if what she wanted to do. And she was like, look, like, if you have full power right now, like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm voting Jake. And it's because he has, more agency with my jurors that I'm facing for, and that's what I'm doing. And I stood my ground. And she's like, yeah, like, that's how I'm leaning to. And I think she was more on, like, the up in the air phase than I was. I think I had made my decision by that point. And I think by me standing my ground, I could have molded that in a way where Grace could have been potentially voted for. If I was pushing so hard for Grace, Nicole might have caved. But I chose not to because that was not my best move from what I saw.
Okay. Grace, I'm going to go to you. Obviously, I had your back 1,000,000% in this game, and I know you had my back too. But hearing things like I might have gone home on Takami, the fact that you told MJ about the idols and not me, I just want to know, like, if you ever truly were going to 100% trust me in this game, and if not, what got in the way of that?
I actually talked about this with Gaston kind of recently. I actually did kind of tell you about the idols, but you were like super drunk. It was the night where you were really paranoid that MJ was going to idol you out for Tati, and you said, tell me I'm not getting idled out. And I said, you're not getting idled out. And you said, if you tell me right now that you know where both the idols in this game are, then I know that I'm not getting idled out. And I said, fine, I'm telling you I know where both the idols in this game are. It's okay, like, if you don't remember that, but that, like, happened, and I did kind of tell you, which I totally understand that I didn't tell you, like, straight up like I told MJ. I did have a lot of trust in you in this game, but it kind of was a little bit unsure in the fact that I thought that you trusted Sam more than you trusted me. And I think that Sam also felt the same way in, the reverse. So I think that kind of, like, put a little bit of a, like, issue in my ability to trust you, because I always thought that there'd be somebody that you would trust more than me. That may not have been true at the time. In regards to you going home on Utakami thing, I always knew that the vote where Farboda went, that would be my best option. I just had to have you and have me convince Noah that was best for both of us, or else I could not have lost Noah. He was my number one ally at that point. That would have been bad for me. When it came for the round after that, where we were all going to vote you out potentially, that was something where I thought that despite our friendship outside of the game, going forward with Nick, Abby, and Noah was going to be in my best interest, because they were all people who had expressed, like, undying loyalty to me at that point, as well as you had. But
I swore on my mom.
I know you did. I know you did. But it was the fact that you had such better connections with the other side at that point, with Gaston and Sam, with, like, Ben and, whatever, like, that we thought that you would be the biggest target or, like, threat to our agency in the beginning of the merge, because, I truly thought that the three of them really didn't have any other options, whereas you were so well connected that I knew that you could be someone that would push the game in a direction that I didn't want it to go.
Fair.
So that's why.
That is fair. I have another question for you, but I'm going to go to Nicole first, just because I don't want to run out of time and have not talked to Nicole. Nicole, I have one question. Keep this one kind of short because it doesn't matter as much to me. And then my second question matters more. Was there any talk, whether it was between you or Grace, or just a thought in your mind of maybe using the idols in a more, like, offensive rather than defensive manner? Maybe being like, this is an opportunity where we have to make a move. We can make a move with these. Yeah. Let's use this as a weapon rather than holding it on to final six, which, again, good strategy. Who knows what would have happened if you didn't have them, but maybe there were other opportunities to use them in a more interesting way.
Yeah. I think it's tough because from Final 7, I saw myself making FTC in multiple different paths. So for me, I just knew I needed to, like, keep myself safe. I didn't feel the need in the end game, or even just, like, later half of the merge to play defensively. We definitely, like, talked about, for example, playing it on Nick, when Nick might have been the vote that round. And, Spencer, that blindside unfortunately, I think that it would still have been the best move for me to keep my idols. So for me, no, I think it made sense to hold on to it.
Okay, cool. And then Grace, I'm going to go to you real quick, but try to keep it kind of short because I have one more for Nicole. Did you ever consider voting Nicole at that Final Four? I think that would have been, I think a lot of the discussion, and this is not, Gaston, don't get discredited by this because there's a whole nother discussion about you as an individual. But I think at Final Tribal between you, Grace, and Nicole, a lot of the discussion is how you beat each other. And I think, Grace, you would a game-winning move if you take out Nicole at Final Four, prove like this is where I'm standing. Was there ever any consideration of that?
At that point, I was fairly certain that, I mean, as I feel like I was right in a sense that all three of us have garnered some sort of bitterness from a lot of the jury, whereas Jake would not have. Jake was just a very, very strong social player. He had a lot of good friends in the jury, good connections. I felt like when I was counting up the jury, he had more locked votes than I could guarantee for any of the three of us. And so I didn't think I thought it was a better move for me to go to tribal count or go to final with Nicole, convince the jury that I played better than her than it would be to go against Jake, who everyone loved and like is just such, I mean, not that everyone doesn't love Nicole, obviously, but like Jake is just such an undeniably great, likable social player that I thought was hard. I kind of want to talk about another thing about playing the idol in an offensive way, but if you got to go to Nicole, I'll do that later.
Yeah, I'll come back to you if I have time with that. Nicole, and honestly, I'm going to ask Gaston this too, if you guys can keep it kind of quick, as two former winners, what would meaning this season, how would this represent not only this season, but represent Utopia as a whole? Because the winner of this season, especially if it's someone that's won twice, is going to be like the face of Utopia. So what would that story be for either of you? I'll start with Nicole.
I think for me, it's adaptability and versatility. I think that, like Noah said, I maybe didn't play the same game that I played in U4. And I think that is like my strength is I've been able to play from a little bit out of the spotlight, but still having a lot of control. And I think that is what makes my game really unique. And I think in Utopia throws a lot of fucking shit at you and you have to be like adaptable. And I think that I proved time and time that is the type of player I am.
Awesome. And Gaston?
I know everyone uses this word, but adaptability is really the number one thing. And I think that, having not been blindsided proves that you can come in with like people knowing that you're a big threat, that I played a cockroachy game last game and they knew better than to trust me the entire time like they did last time. And I was still able to not get blindsided this entire game. I knew what the vote was or what it was going to be based off like conversations at Tribal or you telling me that, you weren't going to vote how you said. Like I knew the correct vote the entire time. Again, still proving that a social game is really all you need to succeed in this game. And I was able to socially position myself in a way where they were going to take me.
Spencer, just letting you know, I'm going to give you like 20 seconds to wrap it up.
Okay. Sorry, Grace. I won't get to the last thing that you wanted to say, but I still am not sure who I'm voting for. I don't know how the vote's going to go. I genuinely hope all of you get votes. I think all three of you deserve it. And even if I don't vote for you, I think any of the three of you would be a deserving winner of this season. So good job, guys. Congratulations. And I can't wait to get drunk after this. I'm already kind of drunk right now. All right.
Sam, you look really nice tonight, Spencer.
Thank you. You do too.
Thank you.
Really had to throw that one in, huh, Grace?
just for,
We're here with our eighth juror, Sam. And your time starts now, Sam.
All right. Hello. I honestly don't think I'll take the whole 8 minutes. I just have a few comments, a couple quick questions, and then I'm going to be done. First of all, and the main thing I want to get out there is just a comment. I have a lot of notes from Tribal, so maybe I should flip that over. I don't know if you can see that well. Stop claiming Final 8 as like this big move for yourselves. Fucking stop doing it. It's not what happened. The only reason that I caved on Taylor, which yes, I have told everyone I caved on Taylor. I said we could go home with him. Yes, congrats, you convinced me. But you didn't convince me. You just made it so fucking exhausting and not fun to play this game anymore that I was like willing to send home Taylor because you were insufferable that round. Like it was terrible and I hated playing and I was willing to let go of Taylor if it just meant that we could get through the round. So when I say that, I specifically mean it to Grace. Grace, I'm sure you knew that I was going to the jury thinking that I really, really did not like the game that you played. I didn't respect it, and especially that round. Frankly, I could get into it for days, and I don't need to because I don't want to sit here and slander you for my entire 8 minutes. I think it's a poor waste of my time because I already spent as much time as I could doing that to the jury to help them realize that the way you handled Final 8 was disgusting. It was completely disrespectful as a game move and tactic when you begged and pleaded with me in my DM saying, I'm not doing this to be manipulative. I'm not doing this, this, and that. But then you also claim that we were bullying you into doing a certain move. And, oh, you use those words, girlfriend. Don't deny it. So don't sit here and claim that it was this amazing move that you made when you literally just got on call, leveraged your tears to make it that way. If you're going to claim that is your move, then you need to actually claim the manipulative emotional strategy you did to do that. And if that's the game you want to play, congrats, but you won't be getting my vote, so I'm not asking you any questions. Nicole and Gaston, I have a lot of thoughts and feelings for both of you. I think you both played phenomenal games, and I think both of you are a very, very willing and deserving winner for this game, and I'm very ecstatic to cast a vote for either one of you. That being said, the one thing I heard earlier was, Nicole, I don't think that you necessarily sent Tati home. I think Tati sent herself home by leaking literally every plan she was given, and then just like not being able to make any of them go through anymore. But Nicole, I will say, I think at several points throughout the game, you said that you thought you had terrible reads. And so I'm just curious a time when you thought your read was very wrong for one round and how you were able to course correct it the next round. Because I also think you had some pretty bad reads throughout the course of this game. And so I'm just really curious about that.
Obviously the Abby round, I had the fucking worst, or the one Nick went home, that was, I had blinders on. I really trusted Abby. She was the closest ally, one of the closest allies that I had. That threw me for a fucking loop. That really shook my game up and also made me realize people are not gonna just this is not U4. They're not just gonna do what I want to do. So I really started to just think of different avenues and think of this game in a really different way. And I think working with MJ a lot closer to Grace's benefit and also my benefit really kind of solidified the next round for me with Abby going. And also it made me really need to work with you and Gaston. I think that really, it was a wake-up call that I needed, I guess, that protection from both of you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And then, Gaston, you saying you were going to vote me out at Final 5 or Final 4, whatever. We're totally not getting Best Duo now. You threw it out the window. You can't vote out Best Duo. So you just screwed us over. That was probably the only superlative I was going to get. So fuck you. I adore you. I love you. I love playing this game with you. I feel like I had a very good understanding of your game, and I think that's why I went into the jury championing so hard for you. So honestly, sending me to the jury at Final 5 or 4 would have been great for you because I would have done the exact same thing. And I think you knew that because I probably told you 6,000 times. But I guess my biggest thing is I feel like from my interpretation of the jury, a lot of other people don't see your game in the same way as I do. And they feel like a lot of the game happened to you rather than you kind of made your way in the game in a more forceful way, right? Which I think other people have brought up. So I would love if you could tell me what are some pivotal relationships that you had in this game and how those relationships really propelled you forward, how they helped you. I really just want to give you as much time as you want to kind of address anything else that anyone has said so far that you haven't had time to address, because I really want to give you the floor because I know you played a great game and I want you to be able to tell that to everyone.
Thank you, Sam. I'm so sorry. I know I love you so much. As much as I wanted to sit next to you, I knew I was going to lose. I should have lost 10-0, dead ass. You played a phenomenal game. I
already love you. Go.
Some people that were pivotal to my game, I think going to Grace at Final 14, building that bond where we weren't going to be allies leaving that call, but we were going to be allies later in that game. That was so huge to the point where she said in her own words, she was willing to bring me to the end as a Final 8, Final 7. She was willing to bring me as much as, okay, yes, I was a lot more goaty than everyone else in the game, but that was also part of my strategy. Do not be the one associated with the move. If I'm the one associated with any of the moves at 10, 11, 9, 8, I would not have been in her plans. And she was willing to do it because we kept calling, even though we weren't voting the same all the time. I was in a position where I was keeping myself in the majority all the time, or at least knowing what was going to happen without getting my head as I wasn't the driver. I was in the front seat, I was in the back seat. I had the aux cord cable. I was still an important part of all of those road trips to all those votes, but I wasn't the one driving because those are the people that you want to take out at 4, at 5, at 6. And people, so a person like Grace and Nicole, she voted for me 3 times this fucking merge at 14, 13, and 11. Love you. But, I was able to make it work where she wanted me at the end too. Was she obviously could oh my God. Ugh. She obviously considered her options, but she did come to the conclusion that I was good for her game, and that would not have happened if she didn't fully trust me. She told me about her idol before it even came out. Like, I knew about that. That was some trust that I had garnered from someone who voted me 3 times, like a week prior. Even someone like Taylor, I built that, like, he was a great person for my game, and I wasn't able to save him with how that whole final 8 rounds shook out. And again, that was around it in its own. I'm not going to harp too much on that, but that was someone that I wanted to keep and wanted in this game that I felt I could trust. And the way that happened sucks, but that was the most like blindsided I've been this whole time. Like, I think there was just I've built, even Jake, like we were talking on call the other day about how we have some really good calls, but it's just we weren't able to make a multi-round alliance to work through multiple rounds together. But we always came back to each other for a move that benefited both of us. I was able to construct strategic conversations with people that were pivotal to my game, that when they wanted a move to happen, I was there, and I was always willing to think about the logical explanation about why that should happen. You know, the vote on Spencer, like MJ was not scared to come to me with that move, because he knew that I would think it through, and he knew that I was willing to take the shot, even though I was lying with Spencer this whole fucking game. Like, I was always strategically available to all these people and willing to talk about, okay, well, what if this happens, this happens, this happens. I was always able to get my way and talk my way into strategic conversations with everyone else where they felt comfortable, like, coming to me with actual valid moves.
Awesome. Thank you for all of those things. I also think it's remarkable the way that you literally were on the very bottom at the start of the merge. Like, Blue and Idol had no allies, literally the easy name everyone wanted to write off, and you are sitting in final 3. I think that's incredible. It shows your social and strategic maneuverability, and I'm incredibly proud of you for making it here. I think you played a great game, and I think that you played the game you had to play to get here, and I respect the fuck out of it. That being said, one other thing, Nicole, how many votes did you get this game?
2.
How many votes did you get in U4?
0.
I think that is fucking incredible to be a 2-time finalist. This is my last comment, I swear. I really didn't think I was going to go 8 minutes. A 2-time finalist and have 2 votes cast against you in the entire series of the game. Like, that's fucking mind blown. So kudos to that as well. Again, best of luck to the 3 of you. I think I will probably be the meanest juror, if that means anything to you, Grace. So best of luck. I hope the rest of it goes well for you, and encourage you to really make use of your final comments.
It's funny because Nicole got 2 votes and I got a total of 29 over 2 seasons.
Oh, don't worry. Molly's been updating her charts. Don't y'all worry. We will have some updated charts for y'all to look at. And
Eric with a K does still have the record with 33 votes cast against him now. Isn't that
Tom was talking about that. He was like, oh no.
All right, here we go.
For real.
All right, I'm about to rip y'all to shreds, so let's do this. Just kidding. I got 8 minutes here. So we're gonna start with a pretty easy thing to hit all 3 of you. For this, try to not take forever with it, because there's maybe something deeper that I want to dive into. Anyway, so with knowing me, knowing that I'm a big story guy, I do want to ask all 3 of you to maybe take a step back, remove yourself from the season, out of your own body, I should say, and sort of look at your role in this season and think, reflect now on maybe a moment that you had in this game, or a conversation that you had, or an action you took, or an epiphany that you might have had that might have clued production or the viewers, or if this were televised, the general audience, like any sort of moment like that would have made people say, yep, that's our winner. So all 3 of you, let's go alphabetically there. Just give me, again, it can be anything. Don't get caught up on this maybe being like a move or anything. Okay.
I think for me, it was the confessional I made after I survived the final 13 round, after the blackout round survived and Noah left. I think I made this like confessional about how like I have life in this game, because I felt like I had been declining since the final 20. I got an idol that was like a slight uphill. Then at final 14, it all went crashing down. Surviving final 13 gave me life, and I think that for me is like where I started going uphill again.
I think for me, and I don't want MJU to take this as like pandering to you literally all, because you know this is 1000% true, that call that we had where we talked about the stories of the players in the game, and I got emotional talking about like how you talked about how mine and your narrative was one of the most compelling of the potential finalists at that point. That was something that really spoke to me as kind of like an epiphany that like I had truly overcome my weaknesses in U3 by kind of shutting out the people on the quote unquote other side at the beginning of the merge. I had cultivated a relationship that was so deeply personal and connected with you that like everyone, the viewers, whatever, America, quote unquote, could like root for us in being a very unlikely duo. And that we kind of shaped this game to how we wanted it to be in a very sneaky, undercover, interesting way.
I think for me, it was probably after like final, we're in final 7 now. So after final 8, I think I said to my prod chat that I'm making FTC. And I think for me, that was a big moment because I knew that it was like taking the steps to get to the FTC that I wanted to be in. It wasn't like a matter of like, if I'm going to get it, it's like who I want to sit with. And I think that that for me was a defining moment in my game of being like a sure way to make it to the end.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna ditch the other thing that I had because I do need to get to the specifics. Because mostly for Grace right now, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way because while I was playing with you, I was very impressed by you. Anything that I said in that sense was completely genuine, completely sincere. As I remove myself from the game, as I'm now in the position of a juror, I do see your game filled with a lot of missed opportunities here, a lot of chances where you were faced with a choice to make, and it could have been a really, really big choice for you for this season to become yours. And so with that being my vantage point, I do not want you to argue that that's not the case. I don't want you to argue that you didn't miss these opportunities. I want you to articulate to me maybe why those opportunities were worth missing.
I know exactly what you're talking about in asking this question. And this was kind of the thing that I wanted to touch on when Spencer asked the question about playing the idol in an offensive way. When we had talked about the idea, after you gave me the scavenger advantage, when you talked about the idea of voting out Nicole and me taking her idol, that was something that would have been a giant move, something huge for the season to see. But when I really reflected on it, the reason that I didn't feel comfortable doing it is because I thought that my social game had been my most important part, and having Nicole in the game with both of our idols felt more to me than having some kind of quote unquote big move without Nicole, my closest ally, being vulnerable and having maybe her idol as like a backup thing to make me feel safe. I thought that, that would have been something really exciting, me turning on my closest ally at whatever it was, I guess the final 7, maybe, and voting her out final 9, 8, and taking her idol. That would have been exciting, would have been great, something for the viewers. But I just thought in terms of the way that I played this game so far and being so loyal to her and knowing that she would be loyal to me, I knew that that was something that wasn't in my best interest, because as far as an idol can go is one round after you can play it. As far as me and Nicole's relationship could go, it carried us here to the end. So I thought that was more valuable than potentially having a quote unquote huge move and taking her idol from her. So
I think that's a sufficient response. Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see. I guess my vote will decide whether that's sufficient or not. I maybe do want to ask Nicole here as well in these remaining 2.5 minutes, or I can't tell time, 3.5 minutes. At the tribal council where I was leaving, you did make a comment that maybe now even to me registers as a bit of a heat of the moment thing, but you said something that's kind of like lingered in my mind now of you care so much about Grace and about Jake that you didn't want them to lose to me, is what you said. And however that comes across, it felt really weird to like hear something like that. Could you maybe speak to not what that comment was, but maybe what this care is that you have for other people? And even in that case, like, is it better that it's you beating Grace here than it would have been me? Like, do you think that's like the better story, the more respectable thing to have happen? Is it you beating Grace, or maybe speak to that? I don't know if that's confusing.
Yeah, no, I get, yeah. That was a weird thing for me to say, but to be honest, I think it was really rooted in that I genuinely thought I think Jake getting rid of Gaston made sense because like it would have secured himself a spot at the final, or at least like got him closer there. But I think for Grace, her intention of keeping you was to keep you for final tribal, like to bring you to the end. That's the way that I read it. And I think me and Grace had talked about it. I think it's difficult because yes, me and Grace, like obviously I'm sitting here thinking I deserve to win and hoping I get votes, maybe to win. But at the same time, MJ, I think it's difficult because I said that because I genuinely thought that you would blow us all out of the water. I genuinely thought that. And I thought that keeping you in the game, you would have probably killed Final Four immunity as well, would have taken a shot away from Grace, who I know is a big contender to win right now, and Jake if he had got there as well. I think it would have, I kind of stand by that statement in that I didn't want to see Grace lose to you because I think that might have been a possibility. But I think here, and I don't know, maybe she has a fighting chance compared to me because of just like the different game styles that we've had and with respect to like how we played in the same like, you know, step by step we played together, whereas you played a very different game. So I think it would have been interesting to see.
Just letting you know to start wrapping it up.
Yeah. Thank you for that response. Also, not often wrong, I would say, but I would have mopped the floor with all of you at a final. So, right choice.
I knew it.
All right, I gotta go. Good luck with the rest of this. Congrats to all three of you. I didn't say that, but seriously, congrats to all three of you.
MJ, I fucking love you, and don't make fun of me for our rites passage because I did bawl my eyes out. So.
Not this.
Why am I laughing so hard at MJ saying, gotta go? He's not being kicked off. Gotta go. Okay, our next year when he arrives will be the Vulture King himself, the Queen of the Vampire Women.
And the final juror.
Jakula.
Juror.
Call him by his name, Jakula, Queen of the Vampire Women.
If he ever shows up.
Oh, hello. No, can you hear me fine? Okay, nothing like a bit of prop comedy, right? Thought we were going hard on this theme, and I was practically the only one. Anywho, congratulations to all three of you for making it here. This has happened in U4. I apologize. I had some great questions planned. They were either answered completely through other responses or some version of them was asked earlier. So I have some questions. Are they the most meaningful, impactful for you at the very end? Probably not, but it is what it is. So I guess a general first question, we'll go down the list. I'm gonna take that off too. We'll go down the list, but I'm interested in terms of what is a pre-merge move that you think, I know we talked about some of the pre-merge already, but that directly led to your success in the merge. Either it set the tone and pace for you for later in the game, you know, it established an important connection that you haven't got a chance to hit on yet, because I don't want to hear about Grace and Nicole again, my God. But if there is something in the pre-merge that you think was foundational to your success that you haven't gotten a chance to hit on yet, I can give you a little bit of time, and then I do have one or two more quick questions. But I'll just start there, and I will just start with Grace.
Thank you. I've never gotten to go first. I think that my pre-merge move that kind of defined how I was going to play going forward was the vote where Farbota went home, because I think that, you know, I did have a very solid alliance in like the New Wells aspect with Farbota and Noah both. But I think that me making the decision, along with, you know, the blessing of Noah, which I did need to go through with that vote because he was very important to my game, me making the decision to keep Spencer over Farbota really solidified my game moving forward, and the fact that I was going to play simply individually, although that me and Farbota had a good connection and like through Noah and we could have been a good alliance, I was started to play the game through who I thought my personal best ally would be. And I saw that in Spencer more than I saw in Farbota. So I think that kind of set the tone for me to move through the game in aspects that were completely individual to me and not necessarily just individual to my alliance. I think that continued the theme with me kind of trying to keep NJ in the game despite Nicole wanting him out, that kind of thing. Me wanting to keep people who were better for my personal game, not necessarily for the betterment of my alliance, but I think that's what got me here.
Very good. Thank you. Let's go to Nicole next, please.
Pre-merge, I only got to go to one tribal council, except for the combined round. But for me, I think New Wells, that alliance, we tried. We tried, and also like my best connections came from that alliance. You Jake, obviously, and you Grace. I also think it was really vital for when Gaston was trying to get me out before we got before the combined round, like I was able to come in and like have a huge warm hug from New Wells. And I think that was really vital in setting me up for success because, a lot of my close allies are from that alliance. Same with Nick on Original Takami. We only had one round together, but that was a strong connection I built there.
Thank you. Gaston.
Oh, Jay. I think that for me, the pivotal moment, or the pivotal, I would say it's like a specific round. I think it's just overall my connection with Taylor is something that really, really transcended so hard for me come later in this game, because he was someone who really had my back a lot and went to bat hard for me. I think him and Tati are the only people at the merge who did not vote for me at all, which can't. But no, he really had my back. He went to bat for me. There were days I was working up until tribal. He literally kept updating me on like every single thing. He really was a great, fantastic ally for me, where spending so much time with him, I think we used the first thing he said to me was, "Do you have my coins?" Which he referred as Miss Lily Welch's coins. And yes, I did. So I think we got that bond off the bat of like, we both had a strong connection with Lily, and I think that transcended so well to him. For me, and for me at least, losing her in this game, I gained him the following swap, and I think that really led to further in the merge as well. I don't know if he would have dragged me to the end or brought me to the end, but it definitely was a connection that led me up until final 10, 9, and then obviously 8, where things went downhill real fast. But I think it really merged. It shaped the merge where that was a strong ally on my side that I needed.
Good, thank you. Grace, I do have a question for you. Based on what I've been hearing, and you kind of agreed with this fact, it seems like you helped Nicole pretty handily get that idol at the start of the merge.
Mm-hmm.
Why was that a decision that seemed smart to you? Why did you not keep it for yourself?
I think that honestly, just to be completely honest, that was kind of circumstantial because we had decided to work together in the idol hunt, and we've been working on the puzzles together. Nicole sent the first one of hers to her prod chat, and they pinned it, and we were like, we asked, oh, if it's pinned, does that count as a submission? Will we have to do it again? And they were like, yeah. So then at that point forward, we just kind of decided that Nicole would be the one to get the idol. Kind of entirely circumstantial. I did end up being the one who because we did all those puzzles, we got stuck. And then kind of when MJ had given me a little bit of a clue to how to solve that idol hunt with the nod to the fact that the puzzles were the same as the ones in the ruins, which I knew because I had done it before, or I didn't know, but I had understood that was helpful. I was able to go to Nicole and be like, this is it. I figured it out. I got the final thing. I sent her the link for the final puzzle, and she did it while I was at work because I just had to go that day. And I think that was also a part of it. Had I tried to take that for myself and done all the puzzles again just to get it for myself, I wouldn't have had time, because we talked about this later. Gaston and Sam were hella fucking close to beating us in the idol hunt. If Nicole had not done that final puzzle while I was at work, they would have gotten it other than us. So I think that I knew I had my idol. I knew my relationship with Nicole was strong enough that if she had an idol needed to play for me and she didn't know about mine, she would have. So I thought it was totally fine to know where the idol was, but to not have two. I thought it was okay. So
Very fair. Very fair. Thank you. And my last question will be for Nicole. Can you explain a little bit about your purpose in approaching the Final Four round? To both Gaston and myself, you had potentially thrown around the idea of going against Grace. Was there a strategy to that you could highlight here?
I was thinking through my options, if I'm going to be honest with you. I think that my options were either bring Grace or bring... honestly, I was thinking about all the different combinations. Obviously, Gaston winning, my combinations were cut into two options. I think at the end of the day, I did entertain getting rid of Grace. I had entertained getting rid of Grace to Gaston the round that Sam left. So I definitely thought about it. At the end of the day, I thought you would smoke us all. And I stand by my decision to, like, even though, yes, I understand that it would have been a tie, because I don't think Gaston would have wanted to get rid of Grace, I still think it was the best decision for my game.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think you all three have done a great job tonight, and I think you all should have confidence both in your game in the season and with you tonight, because I know some people have been highlighted, some people have not been highlighted. Like, I think you all are doing a really good job. So please have confidence in yourself as you go into the final speeches. Good luck, and I am out of here.
Quick question: was
Yes.
the mirror a reference to Narcissus?
I'm Pride. I was Pride.
Oh,
You couldn't remember. So
I was Pride too, twinsies.
Oh, I didn't care about anyone else but myself. Okay, goodbye.
Same girl. I didn't know he was Pride.
Okay, and that was the jury questioning portion of Final Tribal, so we don't have any more awkward lags. So for closing speeches, we are going in reverse, which means we are going to start with Nicole.
I just want to start by saying I am really happy that I got the chance to. Oh,
I'm
should I
sorry,
wait?
I'm really struggling.
Being like,
I'm really struggling right now. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It keeps going and then immediately going back.
I got you.
This is so cute, I'm not gonna lie.
Hi. Yeah, no, I guess I just want to say that I'm really excited and grateful to be able to explain my game to you all. The beginning of the game was really bleak for me. It was not the best in terms of just like personally, like I wasn't having that much fun. But then honestly, I got to play with all of you, and I've learned so much in this game. And I think that's why I'm so proud of the way that I played this time around, because you guys are really fucking good. So I really felt myself growing as a player, and I learned a lot. I remember, I think it was like our pre-season interview, I asked Molly if I could ever play like a UTR game, or I'm pretty sure I said this, and I was like, would I ever be able to play a UTR game? And in my head, I was like, knowing how headstrong I am, I'm loud, I'm sometimes obnoxious. I really thought like, no, that's not possible. But I think throughout this game, I was still the same headstrong player who refuses to get her name written down, except for those 2 votes. I'm coming for you, Sam and Gaston. But I still go for bat for my allies, and I come after the ones who cross me. But I think this game, I played a little bit smarter and maybe a little bit sneakier. So I might have been underestimated and maybe underwhelming to some. But I did control the last half of that merge with an idol I didn't have to play until round 6. And I utilized my social game. I knew I could play, but I had to do it thoughtfully with key allies who protected me and gave me information. And I was able to show the benefit to them when they were voting with me. I also had control over my perception this game. I think that was really important for me, because perception is everything. And especially coming in with the winner, context, I really had to control that. And I think I'm proud in the way that I was able to lessen my threat level, but yet still I was able to increase the control that I had in the game with game-changing moves under my belt and allies in multiple avenues to get to the end. And I kept saying in my confessionals that like my positioning was like the key for me in this game. And I do believe that was my strength. And the allies I surround myself with and the ability to understand the way I was being perceived or how others were being perceived, and my intuition are what really allowed me to know which steps to take and how to get there. So thank you.
All right, we will now go to our next finalist, Grace.
I just want to say thank you to all of you for your comments. It's honestly given me a lot of insight as to how I played and kind of the mistakes that I have made. And I just kind of want to like touch on some of those. In this final speech, I'm doing it in true lawyer fashion, not writing a closing statement until you hear what the jury has to say. So I just wanted to touch on the fact that I know that, the jury was very bitter at me and I might be hated. I was, referenced to Russell Hantz, which I think I'm much prettier than Russell, but like, we'll go past that fact. I truly think that I do feel horrible about the fact that I have hurt a lot of you, and I totally understand that, and I do feel fucking horrible about that. The thing is, though, my social game was the most important aspect of my game, and I think that, yes, I did have a huge oversight in terms of jury management, but I prioritized the relationships socially that I had moving forward in the game. If I knew someone was going home and that telling them would piss off somebody that was still here, I knew that I had to prioritize the social relationship that would remain in the game. And I know that that came across as off-putting to a lot of people, and I do apologize for that, but I just truly had a deep, deep desire to not only win, but just to like do better than I had done in previous games where I was obviously always like very early merge boot. I think that the fact that people felt burned by me was kind of a testament to my social abilities, because I made them feel the way that they did by the fact that they could trust me. I know that seems horrible. It seems bad. But I think that it would be kind of an injustice to the Utopia history and the season to not vote for me simply because I had hurt anyone's feelings. I know that I came across as extremely emotional in the season, and that's something that I apologize for a lot throughout the season. But I think that I just want to say that I'm done apologizing for that, because it is who I am. I am an emotional person. There's not really anything I can do about that. It's just my personality. I feel things deeply. I want to make deep connections with people, and things make me cry. I cry easily. That's something that I've always struggled with kind of in life. And I know that it's come across in this game at some points in like a manipulative way. That's not how I intended it at all. It's just kind of who I am. I'm a very much a feeling person. And I think that that does come across in my ability to build social relationships. I know that this may have come at the expense of jury management in a sense, but I think that regardless, I played a winning game. And I know that some of you are mad, and I truly deeply apologize. I love all of you and all the connections that I've built with all of you. They were all true and sincere. I just really want to prioritize myself and making it to the end of this game and winning. And that was what I came to do.
I want to
Sorry,
give
what?
a 20-second warning.
That's what I came here to do. And I think that I did do that. And I hope that I am still able to win some of y'all's vote, despite rubbing some of you the wrong way, because I think that I played an excellent game strategically, socially, and I think I set myself apart from the other finalists in a way that they did not from me. So thank you for all your questions, and I love all of you, and can't wait to hang out after this and get drunk. Cheers.
Okay, and our last finalist, Gaston.
Yay, that's me. Okay, first off, cheers to everyone. It's been such a great game. Chug this drink real quick. No, so honestly, I feel like I know that my game has not been the flashiest. It hasn't been the game where Gaston's the one leading the charge. Gaston's not the one doing this. I think I was the way that the merge hit, it was shitty for me, partially due to my own doing, partially just with how things shaped up with the winners being targeted early on and having to burn my idol. And I think that it forced my hand into playing the merge a certain way, where I didn't intend on playing a similar cockroachy, sneaky way through the merge. But it was the only way that I could see to get myself to this point. Because going into Final 13, I really had no other option but to try to rely on other people and play a survival game. But that also shows a testament to like me being at such a very bottom. Like I was the easy vote after Eric left and my idol was burned. I was the easiest vote. Everyone was fine with me leaving. And I was such a scapegoat for a vote for a long time. For the first, 4 or 5 rounds, I was discussed pretty much all the time because I wasn't safe till Final 6. And I was such an easy out for people, but I still used my social strategic prowess to be able to convince people to not vote for me. And that comes from the original tribe, where I built some relationships that helped me along the way. And, some of the swaps that I got some good allies along the way where they were willing to go to bat for me. Taylor fought hard for me. Sam fought hard for me. Spencer fought hard for me. I had people who were on my side, and I didn't need to be in the driver's seat to fully control what was happening in the game. The fact that I never got fully blindsided this entire game should be a testament to my game as a person. I did that in U3, except for the Sean vote. Like, I voted correctly the entire time there, and I was able to do that here, where I was never fully blindsided about whatever happened. Like, I had a good grasp on the game, and that comes from having good social connections, good strategic prowess, and the fact that I was able and willing to have these strategic conversations with people where it worked and they clicked and people resonated and were able to come to me with moves that they wanted to make. And I was able to put my opinion firmly in people's heads where they knew where I stood. And there's people that I think someone like Sam saw a whole lot of my game, and I think that's why it's like Sam sees it very well. It's hard. It's a hard game to articulate, but it's a lot more of a finessing game than it is like I blindsided this person because I was so gung-ho against Tati or so gung-ho against MJ or whatever. I think it's a lot more of a finessing, and the way that you have to do it is so tricky because I had to be the third biggest threat at the end of the game. I had to have someone like Sam at the end to be taken out for me.
Gaston, you have about 20 seconds.
Thank you. I had to have people at the end like Sam, like MJ, like Spencer, all lined up to be taken out right before the end so I could be here. And that's not by chance. That's not by luck. It's because I made sure that there were people of big enough threats here that I think we taken out so I could be sitting here not even needing Final Four immunity. Thank you so much for listening. Sorry, Molly. Thanks for a good game, everyone.
All right. Thank you, final jury. The game is now in your hands. You guys can all go to your voting conditional and cast your vote for who you want to win. And then Pat, you can join the stream whenever you want. We're gonna fill the dead space this time.
Yeah, no dead space in this dystopia. But while the jury casts their votes on the winner here, I just want to take a quick second. Felt appropriate given the weight of this being the finale of our All-Stars season. Normally, I'm pretty happy sitting in the back seat in the finale, letting Molly and Jen land the plane, but this feels special. It feels like it deserves a little extra. So I've been thinking about this a lot over the course of the day, to the point of actually going back to Facebook message records and going back to the history of Utopia. And we actually started talking about this series in early December 2019, and 3 months later we had our first season up and running. And it feels kind of crazy to think that first season almost coincided perfectly with the first landing of COVID, to the point where someone actually cracked a joke about being COVID patient 0 in their intro video of season 1. And since then, we've come 2 years. We've had 6 amazing seasons, full of great gameplay, full of a lot of laughter, full of lifelong friendships. And that, I think, to me, is what hits hardest in this Utopia community that we've been able to build, is that throughout it all, we've seen these friendships last. And we've seen people who wouldn't run into each other, even necessarily within their own circles of this org community, but we've seen them come together in Utopia. And to me, for a community that's given me so much over the years, it's felt pretty damn special to be able to give something back to it. So I guess on behalf of the entire Utopia production team, whether you're someone who's participated in the series, someone who's viewed the series and provided your insights, someone who's playing in the current season, thank you so much for being such an integral part of letting Utopia grow alongside you. And now specifically to the players in this season, we've had you for 2 seasons or more, Jake, of your time, your effort, your energy, your enthusiasm. And I know we never make it easy on you. So the fact that you went through hell once and decided, you know what, this seemed like a good idea, let's come back for a second time. That's so deeply appreciated. Not quite sure what the hell was going on in your heads, but thank you so much for coming back and making this an absolutely kick-ass season. Y'all deserve to be extremely proud of yourselves, and thanks for giving us a great season. This feels like the end of an era in Utopia, given that we're coming full circle from our first season, but I'm really excited to see what the next era brings for us.
Thank you, Pat.
Oh, thanks, Pat.
Also, I just want to say great job to both of y'all tonight. Y'all fucking killed it, and I love y'all with literally all of my fucking heart. Like, truly, this is full circle. Gaston, for me and you and Nicole, babe. I played with you hand in hand this whole game, so this is, the perfect end to my Utopia and org experience.
Oh God, I need a huge break after this game, but I love you guys so much. Like, honestly, it's been such a full circle game for Grace for 2 seasons and Nicole for the season 2. Like, it feels like it's such a full circle relationship of like how we got here in the first place. But
it really is.
Gooped gagged and naughty, baby.
Gooped gagged and naughty, bitch. We did it.
We did that. It never got renamed. I'm kind of pissed. Like, our Gaston Grace.
Oh wait, yeah, you're right. Fuck. Hi, Lucas. By the way. Erica's not here at the current moment. I told him he couldn't watch because it would make me nervous. So.
I do need to go to the washroom, so I'm gonna be right back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Honestly, same. Let's just take a little break here.
Let's take a break.
I am Welcome back.
I guess we're not taking a break, huh? Never mind.
Nicole left. Should we go? Can we go pee then? If Nicole left?
Yeah, go pee. Everyone can stare at me.
Vomit.
Oh, we're just waiting on Gaston.
Sorry.
Okay. So we all know that I read the awards. It's my fun little thing that I do. I am gonna keep it in line with Pat though, and just be a little bit soft really quickly. And I'm not gonna take too long because we all know I could talk forever. But I originally came onto this production team because Jen was asked, and I was mad that I didn't also get asked, and I threw a fit, and I said I didn't want to help. I just wanted to be included. And I don't think any of you could say that that is what happened in the end. I love this game so much, even when I'm yelling at you guys, even when I am ripping you guys to shreds in the VL. I have loved hosting this series. I love the friends that I've made, the community that I have been like brought into and embraced in and been able to embrace others. I'm so happy that all 22 of you took the time to come back. The fact that we had 11 drops this season and still had such an incredible cast, such an incredible season with 3 really, really deserving finalists. There are no GOATs here. There were no GOATs this merge. All 3 of you really balled the fuck out and got here. And I was crying while Pat was talking. And this was such a great way to leave this like series. This was such a great, or not the series, sorry, this generation of this series. Like I'm so happy with how this went, and I'm emotional and high and overwhelmed and just very, very happy to have this, and very thankful that all of the viewers and all of production and anybody who has been on production, anybody who's on production now, just the family that we've built. I am very, very grateful for it. So now I will read the awards. The hero of the season. Oh, and keep in mind, this is all the VL and all of Prod voting on this. So this is, a diverse opinion. The hero of the season was MJ, and the runner-up was Sam. The villain of the season was Taylor, and the runner-ups were Grace and Ben. The best duo was Grace and Nicole, and the runner-up was Grace and MJ. The best alliance was the whole motherfucking cast, which had pretty much the whole motherfucking cast, and the vampire Gabinches, which was Abby, Grace, and Nicole. The biggest move was the Abby blindside, and the runner-ups were MJ yeeting from Tribal at Final 15, and Grace going on her fake idol hunt with Nicole. The worst move was Taylor leaking the Rocks plan to Sam and Gaston at Final 8, and the runner-up was Abby lying about the Nick vote. Gone Too Soon was Farboda, and the runner-ups were Casey and Felix. The best juror was Sam, and the runner-up was MJ and Spencer. The funniest moment is what I have nicknamed Angelica's Sacrifice. And the runner-up was MJ trolling Spencer before the final 12 vote. The best confessionalist for a third fucking time is Jake. And the runner-up was Nick. The best all around was MJ. And the runner-up was Nicole. The Hot Mess Express was Grace. And the runner-up was Taylor. The best Utopia arc goes to MJ. And the runners-up are Sam and Nicole. The biggest rat was MJ. And the runners-up were Abby and Ben. And now we wait for the second page to load. Okay. The craziest tribal was the final 6 vote. And the runners-up were Angelica Sacrifice and the 87521 vote and its aftermath. The fan favorite was MJ. And the runners-up were Grace and Sam. So that's all from me. Jen is going to read the votes and tell you who the winner.
Hi guys. I'm not gonna make a speech because my voice is all kinds of fucked up right now. But I do love all of you, and I do have a special place in my heart and on our couch for Utopia family members. But without further ado, guys, my brain is clearly not working. I promise I'm gonna get this vote count right, though. I have it written in front of me so I don't mess up, because clearly we can't trust me at the current moment in time. Okay. Rolls up my sleeves. Here we go. Utopia All Stars. The votes are in. First vote, Grace. Second vote, Gaston. Third vote, Nicole. All right. One vote for each of you. 7 votes left. Fourth vote, Nicole. Fifth vote, Grace. Sixth vote, Nicole. Seventh vote, Grace. Eighth vote, Nicole. Ninth vote, Grace. That's current tally is 4 votes for Grace, 4 votes for Nicole, and 1 vote for Gaston. The final vote and the winner of Utopia All Stars. Congratulations, Grace. Welcome to the winner's circle. And you'd like to say, this is not supposed to be my face. This is supposed to be Grace's face. Nope. Molly, I got it. Don't you worry.
Oh my God, I don't know what to say right now. I just want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you to production, and thank you to every person who voted for me. Thank you to Nicole for being by my side throughout this entire game. You have no idea how much I fucking love you, and I can't wait to come to Toronto this summer to visit you. I'm sorry, I'm getting super emotional because, damn, like, this game has been a wild fucking ride, and I really appreciate all of you for playing it with me, and I just had the best time. I don't even have words right now. I'm sorry, I'm not able to articulate this very well, but I love you all so much, and this was a fantastic end to my art experience. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, that is it for this Utopia season. Obviously, thank you to all the incredible players. Thank you to our beautiful final 3. Thank you to everyone who's played Utopia this generation. We'll be taking a little break because we're all hella tired. But you can be sure that if you have not yet had your chance to play Utopia, your time is coming. But thanks, everyone. We hope you have a good night, and happy Mother's Day to all of your mothers who have put up with you playing these online games.
I love you all so fucking much. Gaston and Nicole, you both fucking killed it. And I could not have done this game literally without y'all in any sense of the word. Like, truly, you both were so essential to this. And I'm just so happy that I got the chance to play with you both. And Gaston, you went for a second time. Thank you to Jen and Molly and Pat and Caitlin and Jeb, too, because y'all are just fucking amazing. And this is the best series that I've ever played. Love it. Thank you.